Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 165, September 9th, 2020. Getting deep into the month of September. Boy, is that depressing.
9-9.
Absolutely. With me, as always, we have Mr. Casey Green joining us from the DC area. How are you today, sir?
Doing quite well.
I see you've partially reboxed your background.
The box cover was in my wife's way and stored it to where she felt it should go.
I see. That makes a lot of sense. Also with us, Mr. Patrick Connor joins us from the West Coast. How are you today, sir?
I'm good, although you'll see this nice orange glow illuminating me here. That's because I think I'm on Mars. The sky's red. We've got some fires happening here in Oregon, and there's smoke in the air.
Wow. Are you are you breathing in the smoke as soon as you go out? Like, is it prevalent?
Oh yeah. Today is not as yesterday. It was pretty bad, and there were high winds. Today it's up a lot higher, so it doesn't smell as bad. So I think the air quality is a little better today, but still not great. Yet mostly staying inside. Got all the air filters running, and trying to keep the lungs healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's dangerous times for the West Coast. There's many of those fires that are burning, a lot of them out of control, right?
Yeah, I think like California, I think they are finally getting things under control. And then hopefully here it starts raining by the end of this month, and that should help things here. So hopefully the fires will be gone soon.
Absolutely. We certainly hope for that.
Yeah, well, before we get started, I have to do my intro to all the people out there watching the Tesla Life, enjoying the Tesla Life. Welcome. We're a show here where we try to help petrol sapiens evolve and start living a future free from fossil fuels.
Excellent. I love how Patrick just ad-libs and adds a few things every show. That's fantastic. The Petro Sapiens. That's an interesting one. Yes.
Yeah, we got to help them evolve. Yeah.
Well, as every week in Tesla, there's the news just never stops, and we're starting this week off with a visit to Germany. Mr. Musk had indicated that yes, he was going to Germany to check out a couple of things. First of all, of course, there's the Gigafactory in Berlin.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Volkswagen.
Well, he did mention that ahead of time, but we later found out that was the case. He also was looking into, I guess it was a connection with a company that they're looking at is it a vaccine?
The machine that does the vaccine.
Okay.
The machine that makes the RNA
to help with the vaccine for COVID. So that is something he was checking on as well. And then, as Casey mentioned, on his way out, he had a 2-hour meeting with VW at the airport. So that was a bit of a surprise, although we have talked about this before, that Tesla is getting along very well with VW lately. If not, it's Musk and Herbert, the CEO of Volkswagen. They seem to be in a little bit of a bromance. They seem to get along very well, and that has been noticed previously as well.
CEO best buds.
That's right. Mm-hmm. But what we've got to start off is that when Musk had arrived, there was, of course, a number of people to meet him at the airport. And there was a bit of a caravan that went to Gigafactory. The German government pledged its full support to Tesla in the media with Musk's arrival, just to let him know that they are fully behind what's been going on at Gigafactory Berlin, about Tesla, of course, bringing these jobs to the country, to this particular city. And they're very happy that the progress of what's been going on in the building of the plant, and there's no surprise there that they're pleased with the results to this point. So good to hear that everyone's on a solid footing, because you hear little things here and there from the media. Who knows if they're true or not, or if there are small groups that are complaining about maybe a water table or something along the lines of Tesla's chopping down too many trees. Things of that nature happen here and there, depending on who you're speaking with. But it is good to hear that overall the government is very pleased with what's been going on, and how the progress, where it sits. So good to hear.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised, because the Germany, a lot of their economy is based on the automobile. They have very big companies there. You mentioned VW and Mercedes-Benz and other companies that are there, Daimler. So it's not, and those are the big companies, and then there's all the suppliers that supply them. So for them to embrace some American company coming in and setting up there is surprising to me.
Oh, like you said, the suppliers. So at this point now, they're having a new supplier, or a new customer come in that needs all those suppliers to take up the slack for all of the dip in sales that you see at the local automakers. Maybe they're looking at the big picture.
Right.
Plus,
yeah,
it helps with their emissions.
Yeah, very true. And like you said, the suppliers, one of the things that Tesla tries to do is locally source as much as they can, so that things aren't traveling around the globe where, some import dock, it gets stuck there for a week and they can't make vehicles. That doesn't help anybody. So yeah, it makes sense. They're going to try to locally source.
Yep.
Yeah, and certainly anywhere that an automobile manufacturer sets up, it tends to trickle down jobs across the spectrum. So as you mentioned, the suppliers where they buy their supplies, it's just a big trickle down effect. So I would think that anybody accepting a plant is going to benefit from this, and Germany is no different.
Yep.
Right. It'll certainly mean jobs there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And then if they don't do it right, Tesla will bring it in-house, vertically integrated.
Well, that's been proven before too, hasn't it? So
Yeah.
that's not a surprise. So suppliers, be on your A game, because Tesla may decide to do it themselves, as we've seen with other examples.
We've got the German precision, yeah.
So next, there was Elon, of course, gave a couple of impromptu, I guess, discussions in a parking lot with lots of wind, which we were discussing earlier. No one seems to know what a windsock is when they're recording out there. But Elon had talked a few bits about the Model Y redesign, and some additional production information that he was sharing with some impromptu questions that were put to him. So there was some information about how really Tesla Berlin, we understand, is going to have a bit of a redesign on the Model Y that Elon's saying is pretty major. This is something that's going to benefit Tesla, and it's also something that is going to redefine how a car is put together when it comes to a manufacturing plant. So he didn't go into complete detail about this. Obviously, he's saving it for something else. But
Battery day.
That could be it, definitely. Although battery day. Man, battery day is going to have to be battery week, because there's a ton of stuff that he's been kind of putting away and waiting. So that stockpile is rather large at this point. So yeah, it's going to be at least a couple day battery day from what I could see. But anyways, he's not revealing it yet. Yeah, we're not far away from that at all, are we? The 22nd, right? So yeah, we're very close to that. So it was of interest to hear about this different type of manufacturing, how it's going to be. Is this going to be something about maybe the casting machine and, part of the one piece or less? I guess, how do you be less? The whole thing comes out like a
the
Hot
best
Wheels.
part is no part. So yeah, the 0-part car. Here you go.
It's just like one of those little Hot Wheels where you pull the body off, you just shove in the interior and close it up. That's it.
But the whole roof is a hole, so the robot can shove the whole interior through the top and then put the glass on.
That's true. That's true. So maybe that is part of the announcement. But
I'm thinking maybe he finally got his one wire connection that he was talking about.
Oh, the wiring harness difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Going from 2 kilometers down to 100 meters. That sounds like a big savings. That'd be great.
Yeah.
It's so surprising to me that other car companies haven't done that. I mean, there's been attempts at improving fuel economy for a long time when part of that would be lightweighting a car. And instead they've got, CAN buses and things designed in the 1980s that are, older than most of the people buying them. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you listen to Monroe and he talks about how long ago he was trying to push for change. It's like, he couldn't have been the only one, because these aren't radical ideas. I mean, they're forward thinking, but they're not impossible by any means. I mean, some of his stuff he does is okay. Yeah, who would think of that? But simplifying the wiring harness, he couldn't have been the only engineer to come up with that.
Right, and instead they get, no, it's worked that way for a long time. Don't change it. So they don't even allow incremental innovation. They're just like, no, this is what works. Don't change a thing. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's again, Elon is talking. Well, it was also mentioned not in this particular trip, but we know that the paint factory is going to be of a new level that hasn't been reached before. And actually, we had some photos posted today in the Twitter feed of the size of the paint factory that's under construction currently at Giga Berlin. It looks massive, like 3 separate floors, but the people inside working on it, they look like ants. So this is an absolutely massive facility for the paint area that is happening. And again, if you don't know this, you can follow us on the Twitter feed at the Tesla Life, also on Facebook, the Tesla Life #1. And if you haven't subscribed here or given us a thumbs up, now's the time to do it, since I pointed it out and you've got a moment to do so. So I'll just wait as you click that thumbs up. And okay, that should have been all it takes. Okay, good. Thank you very much.
He responded to the questions about the water. He's like, it's not a desert here. We don't use that much water. Oh, by the way, we do have one in the desert. And
oh, by the way.
Yeah, and by the way, if it was using that much water, or if there was that lack of a water here, do you think these trees would grow it?
That's funny.
But then he also seriously answered the question. He's like, yeah, we're going to do our best to reduce water use. We're going to recycle, blah, blah, blah. And, he actually sat there and listened to their concerns and noted. He wasn't just flippant like, yeah, there's water here.
Yeah, if the Model Y is there, it has a better new architecture and this incredible paint job. That's it. I'm going to have to import mine from Germany. These improvements better come to the other factories as well.
A German delivery factory tour.
Definitely.
You do your vacation in Germany, you pick up your car, and then you meet the boat back home when you get home.
Oh my gosh! And you sit inside a shipping container with the car all the way back.
No. Just like with the BMW and the Mercedes, like you have it's a vacation package where you go watch your car get built and then you come home.
Okay, and then you just wait for it to arrive a few weeks or days later.
A month.
When I got my Model X, I wanted to do that. I wanted to fly into California, take delivery there, and then go to Disneyland and then drive home. And I was talking to my sales rep about that, and he says, well, you can do that, but if you take delivery in California, you have to pay California sales tax on your car. I was like, but I'm not a California citizen. He said, I know, it's a really dumb rule, but that's what it is. And we've tried to get the state to change it, and they are not budging.
The only way that makes sense is if you live in California, or if your state has even higher taxes than California. You'll still have to make a difference when you get home, but at least you're not going to get juked.
Oregon does not have a sales tax, and
Ouch.
So I took delivery here. And California missed out. I mean, we were going to take a family vacation, and we decided.
They would have tourist dollars, yeah.
Yeah, they would have got all those tourist dollars, and instead they got no card tax and no tourist money out of me. So how was that the right move?
Yeah, I mean, doesn't make a lot of sense. But
myself and a few others had talked about doing the deliveries in Nevada instead, and I don't know if anything ever became of that, but that would be one way to get around the California tax.
Right. Yeah.
That's where the Gigafactory.
That's right. Well, as Elon completed his meetings and discussions with the press and on-site visitation of Giga Berlin, he headed back to the airport, and unbeknownst to most, he stopped at the airport for a couple of hours and met with Herbert from VW, his buddy, the CEO. And they had a meeting for about 2 hours. They even had, get this, an ID3, VW's new prototype that's about to be released to the public as an actual production car. They had one on hand and allowed Elon to take a spin. They videotaped it. There was pictures of Elon getting out of the car. There was a video of him driving it. Talking to Herbert about the different attributes of the car. Herbert making it clear at the beginning that, remember, this is not a performance car. This is a regular car.
I got his autograph.
And they took it out in the rain at the airport. There was obviously a piece of asphalt that was blocked off, and Elon took it for a spin with Herbert in the car and others, and they released the video. So obviously Elon's quite comfortable with what happened, gave his permission to go ahead and release that video of them driving in the rain. You know, it's not much to see, but it was interesting, the conversation as they talked a little bit about about self-driving. What does this car have in driver assist was the question. And Herbert
Elon was like, he said it has lane keeping, right? Lane keeping, following.
Right.
His answer was.
And then Herbert came back with a commercial almost based on the fine German engineering, the ability. And I was like, what is he doing? Is this a commercial? But it was an interesting response back. And then some of the people on Twitter said, was Elon trolling him with that question? What was going on with that? So it was like maybe a tit for a tat. I'm not sure. But and then the other thing that happened after Elon left is that there was a picture of Herbert and one of his execs beside a Model Y. So they got to take a look at the competition's vehicle as well, as they were able to take a test drive in a Model Y. I would assume it was in Germany.
I'll show you yours if you show me mine.
Yeah. So I don't think it was on the Nürburgring, but it was a little test drive that he was able to take, and photos again were published and spread on the internet. So again, both parties used this as a PR for both sides. So that was kind of interesting to see.
Yep. So the question about lane keeping and autopilot is not that strange. I asked Aptera on their Twitter account if they would have lane keeping and following on the new Aptera 2E, and they said yeah. And then a few days later, they got back and said we're going to have FSD. I was like, what? Yeah,
that does not make sense for a little startup like that, unless they're
probably going to use Mobileye or something. They didn't say. Yeah. But I was thinking
actually lane keeping stuff is pretty common now, right? Like
right.
But it's almost table stakes for any car.
Yeah, but since it was not even a glimmer back when the original 2E was on the drawing boards and in prototype phase, I was like, man, I'm getting really used to just kicking back and just zoning out, listening to podcasts. I don't care how much power I'm saving.
You mean paying
attention still
to the
meta attention? Yeah, I'm supervising the car. And so they're like, yeah, not only can we do that, but we can do everything they're used to. I was like, what? because with one person in the car, 1,000 miles range, just like I wanted this car before I even got my Volt, so it's like this will be cool. But so it's not an odd question, is my point.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Mark said, the advanced driver assist systems are now table stakes for anything that costs more than $20,000.
Tell you what, the Corolla that I went to pick up my Model X in, because I sold my Model S, and then Nevada dropped the ball before they all got fired. And so my service manager at the time, he rented me a Corolla from the airport, and I drove up to Charlotte to go get my car. And it had radar following, and it had very basic lane keep. It was not designed to keep lane, but it was designed that if, kind of like Tesla's lane departure, where if you start to come out, it will nudge you back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them are like ping ponging in a lane.
This was worse than ping pong. You have to leave the lane before it kicks in.
Yeah. So some of them are annoying. Some of them aren't very good. But many of them have them. So.
Yeah.
Well, let's just, I can share just a couple of photos here of what we've been talking.
Uh-oh, I lost you guys.
No, I'm here.
About.
There he is. Welcome back.
Okay.
But we've got Elon getting out, and of course this is in a hangar because it was pouring rain outside in the video and dark, and he took the car for a spin. And let's see if we can see a picture of Herbert and company. There he is, really cool. With the Model Y in the background as they took their test drive. So
yeah, they made some comments like the Model Y was their benchmark in many regards.
Yeah,
not before, but yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and what a good benchmark to use, especially. That was an excellent idea. Well, that was the European trip, and we'll see. Obviously, the Elon had also mentioned that there's going to be many more trips to Germany. He had indicated that he wanted to visit often to see the progress that. He didn't really talk about the progress in the media, did he? Like, he didn't talk about time schedules. He didn't talk about where they were in construction. Obviously, things are going along fine according to plan, according to what's been submitted as plans. So I assumed everything's fine there, scheduling-wise. He didn't mention anything, but I'm just assuming that. Next story you're going to jump into is Tesla clubs. A number of them are actually cleaning up, literally. So what we've got here is a photo from, I believe it's this particular one is a Southern California Supercharger. Oh, that's the wrong one. There, this one. This is obviously at a Target, and this particular club has chipped in and bought a trash can, and actually they empty it as well. They come by in a regular service to make sure the trash bin has been emptied and it's available for others to use. So this in Southern California, and not to be outdone, here up in Waterloo region, we've got the Ontario Tesla Club has done the same with a different style trash bin, but they're doing the same thing. So kudos to those two clubs, and others are obviously involved as well. But those are the two photos that we had from the story. And great to see that Tesla owners have, taking something to heart and decided that, hey, we use these charging spots. Why would they not be clean? Obviously, a lot of them are in shopping spaces or they're in third-party malls, things of that nature. But we all know that there's a percentage of the population that litter regardless. And it's just nice to see that that some people have decided not to sit on the sidelines and do something proactive about it, and provide a place where the garbage can be put. And as we've seen with others in many stories where people are waiting for service for supercharging, some of them will get out and pick up some litter and throw it away, which is fantastic. But I've even seen this in action when I had my trip to California, where we had people that did get out of their cars while they were supercharging and picked up a few things and dropped it in the garbage. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah. Go ahead, Casey.
It's one of my favorite parts about a lot of the gas station superchargers is there's actually 2 tiers of that. There's the regular one where you can see the pumps and you can just walk up to the trash cans that they have there. And then there's the step above where they actually put one of their pedestals with the trash can and the windshield wiper station at the supercharger. And then there's another tier beyond that where they put multiples. They have a larger supercharger installation, like say 14 stalls. There's one in Maryland that did that on the way to Ocean City. They've got Generation 2 superchargers for V2s, and they've got 2 or 3 trash cans with the wiper squeegees and everything.
And now some air pumps have arrived too, right?
A lot of them have air pumps, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Which is cool. And then there's some like Santee where it's completely nobody asked them to, but they've got one strapped to the fence there, and that's nice. And it's rare. It's the point where like if you look at Bjorn's videos, he's always pointing out the people that are being just nasty. And then you've probably seen this yourself. You go out supercharging and you notice that there's stuff on the ground, and it's like, come on, guys, you drive these cars. They're greener. You could do better, especially when the trash can is at the other end of the parking lot row at the mall. It's not that far away.
Even if there's no trash can, what the heck
put
are
it in
you
your
doing
floorboard and
dumping
deal with
it
it later?
Yeah, like take it home with you. You're on a trip. Next time you stop, then you put it in a garbage when you go into some place that has a garbage pail. Like, come on. Like, I know there's a percentage of the population that will never do that, but it's
we gotta do better.
It's good to see that some are trying to make it a better experience.
Yeah, and this is a step up by the clubs, and it's great. They shouldn't have had to do it, but it's great that they did do it. And on your Canadian friends there, I would say they probably picked a design that was less susceptible to filling up with snow for when they could empty themselves.
Yeah, that's the worst thing. Is when your garbage can is full of snow. That's the worst possible problem you can have. Yeah, I agree. Patrick, you had a comment.
Oh, I was just going to say, trash there makes us all look bad. And so, yeah, do your part. Pack it in, throw it away, or pack it out, throw it away, whatever the right. And then maybe someone else who has nothing to do with Tesla left trash there. That still makes us look bad. So clean up a little bit at the station. And that's just being a good part of the community.
You've got a floorboard, you've got a frunk, you've got a trunk, you've got an under trunk.
Yeah, keep a trash bag so you can throw your stuff in there and maybe add a little extra.
Exactly.
Hey, Tesla sighting, maybe help us out, include these, and then maybe the local club will empty it for you. I know that you can't, justify somebody on staff go empty these out.
You can't do a maybe though, because maybe the club will take care of it, maybe they won't.
No, include it and then make a partnership with the club.
Yeah,
empty it out.
Make sure there is a schedule. Otherwise, someone's gonna say, "Oh, it wasn't my week," and we'll have an overflowing trash bin, which is no good either.
Yeah. Right. I understand that the hosts can't always spare the extra manpower, but if you've already got 20 stations, what's 21 on the property? They swing by, they dump it in, keep going.
Yeah.
Something, come on, guys.
Yep, should be built in. Maybe they will be as time goes along, hopefully. Next, Patrick's got a story for us about a heist that SentryMode helped out with.
Oh, right. Yes. So this is in Langley, BC, and a family's RV was stolen. But luckily, they had, in addition to having an RV, they had a Model 3, and it was all caught on camera. So They had their camper parked in front of their house. They're have it there for a couple days, charge the batteries, get it ready for their next trip or whatever. And the owner came out the next day and was like, "Oh, where's my RV? I thought I brought it home." He said he wasn't quite awake and he was trying to figure out, maybe I didn't. But yes, he did, and someone took it away in the middle of the night. So he checked the SentryMode footage, and guess what? They caught it all on camera. So with that recording, he was able to report that to police. They had a description of the vehicle that took it. This helped the police locate the vehicle, find his RV, and they were reunited with their stolen camper, all because they had a Tesla. So there's a lot of cameras on a Tesla. If you're out there trying to do bad, you're going to get caught, buddy.
Yeah.
If it's not yours, don't take it. Don't scratch it up. Don't abuse it. You're on camera. Just assume you're on camera. It's the modern age.
Yeah. Yeah, and this wasn't even the Tesla itself, right? So this is just the Tesla was nearby. So
reminds me of the one in Ireland where they're like, "Hey, anybody got that SentryMode footage?"
Right. Yeah, there was an attempted murder on a mayor or arson on his home, and they were asking for Teslas. I don't remember where that was. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, as more and more of these cars are out there, they're going to help prevent a lot more crimes.
Exactly. And it was interesting to see that the videotape was, even though at night, it was instrumental in being able to identify the thieves after they found the RV. The suspect, of course, matched up with the person that owned the truck that pulled it away. That was shown on the video. So even the dead of night, not enough to block the evidence. So fantastic work there.
Yeah, and you could see in the video, they didn't remove the chucks from the tires because as I drive off, it just goes chunk over. And they didn't unplug it. They had the 12-volt battery being plugged. So you see the extension cord drag out into the street and unplug. So yeah, if they were going to steal this for their own use, they're already not taking good care of it. So they don't deserve. First, they were stealing it, but second, they're abusing it.
They're not going to make it to the destination at that rate.
Terrible. Not only were they stealing it, but they were abusing it on the way out.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, next story we're going to talk a little bit about is this Teslarati article talked a little bit about the Model Y efficiency, ones that are coming off the assembly line, and apparently the current Model Y efficiency beats the early production Model 3s that were put out almost 3 years ago, and that is a little bit of a surprise. We've got a vehicle that is larger, a little heavier, certainly a different aerodynamic in the vehicle. And it is better efficiency than the Model 3. But this also, it also looks at what Tesla has done since the release of the Model 3 with all the data they've received from the Model 3 as to how to improve their game as time goes along. And of course, one of those things, a major one of those things, is the octavalve in the new vehicle, as well as the not the heat sink.
The heat pump.
Yes, which adds efficiency to the vehicle, certainly in winter as well as other times. But this is what this article was really pointing about, was the how Tesla is advancing at all times. They're looking to how much energy the car is burning, what areas are burning the energy, what can be done to minimize or reverse course on some of that. And having a larger, heavier vehicle be more efficient than the original vehicle that came out looks like success to me in a number of those categories. So hats off to Tesla. That's fantastic.
Yeah, just the fact that they can make a bigger vehicle and make it more efficient, that's incredible. And then you start looking at some of the things they're doing are minor, but they add up. Okay, 0.5% here, 0.5% there, and we're going to collect this waste heat over here and use it to warm this system over there. But if that system's hot, then we won't do it that way. We'll change the valves and just little things like that.
Yeah. What about there's no one sitting in the front seat on the passenger side? There's no point in blowing air at that person that doesn't exist.
Exactly. Yeah, and then you get more air on the driver, and then they don't need to crank the AC as much, and that saves energy. And it just, little things like that add up over time. And so every time Tesla does something like this, they get a little bit farther ahead, and it makes it, you can't just take a ICE vehicle, convert it to electric, and put it out on the road and expect to come anywhere near something that's custom made for that purpose, that's been refined year after year with dozens of improvements every year. Yeah, they're just, everyone's falling farther and farther behind.
And then you combine all of that with how again, Mr. Monroe points out that the Model Y costs less to make than the Model 3, which means that it's using less materials, it's using less processes, which means less waste, less input. So they're saving and reducing all around, not just for the end user, which is incredible, but also during those because the initial part of the build of the car is like the dirtiest single event. And so if you can minimize that, then you make the whole car cleaner throughout its life.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of cars being a little greener through its life, we've got a photo to share here of a particular Twitter user that spotted this particular Model 3 in Indiana. This, of course, is the Bargersville, Indiana Police Department. This officer had stopped a supercharge at a local supercharger. Actually, I stopped at this supercharger. I recognized it on my trip to California. And that's actually where we had our lunch, in that green space behind there. But this officer was stopping to charge up the car, and this particular Twitter user, Chris, spoke to the officer and asked him, how are they liking the Model 3? They've had it now for over a year, and actually they've had 3 of them now for over a year. And the officer had indicated, we like the 3 so much, there's going to be another 4 purchased next year.
Wow.
And on top of that, we're getting a supercharger installed at the police station that will not only be used for the police, but also publicly as well.
Oh, wow.
So
the police are going to be a supercharger host.
That's right. They're going to be a supercharger. And man, you better not litter there, let me tell you. But
at the same time, you don't have to feel unsafe.
Right.
Yeah. At night. Yeah. So the Bargersville Police Department is obviously enjoying what they've got if they're going to ante up and double the amount of Model 3s on duty starting sometime next year. And obviously getting a supercharger installed near them is going to be a benefit too, to be able to do those faster charges on shift changes or whatever. But fantastic story here. I'm not going to jinx myself yet, but we're reaching out and talking to the police department and seeing if we could maybe get a few questions answered for ourselves. So we'll see how that moves along as well.
Yeah, don't burn rubber when you leave that supercharger. Yeah, you want to arrive and leave in chill mode.
Yeah, you don't want to be the Mustang leaving the cars and coffee.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's their new. We'll put the supercharger here, and then our ticket revenue will increase, and that'll pay for all of our car.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it guarantees that they have more SentryMode to watch that back side of the precinct that doesn't have any cameras on it.
Right. Yeah. They're going to be able to get rid of all of their cameras and just use the cars.
That's right. Use the cars. Absolutely. Well, speaking of a place where there's probably not a supercharger, Patrick's got a story for us about a far off destination. What's that about?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that Mt Everest does not have a supercharger. And yet, an owner was able to drive to Basecamp in his Model 3. And so, yeah, let me just read a little bit of this here to you. This is from Teslarati by Simon Alvarez. A Tesla Model 3 from China has recently gone where no other Model 3 has gone before. In an epic 5,500-kilometer road trip, a white Tesla Model 3 dual-motor all-wheel drive started a long journey from Shenzhen all the way to the base camp of Mt Everest. What's more remarkable was that over the long trip, the Tesla owner remarked that he experienced no range anxiety at all, despite his extreme remote destinations. So, yep, he was able to charge overnight at all the places that he stayed, and no problem. There are electrical outlets all over the place. If there are humans, there's probably an outlet within a couple meters of you.
Yeah, that's true. So the Chinese cars have different power inlets than the European cars. I'm curious if their non-Chinese port, because they've got 2 ports on the Chinese cars. I'm curious if that non-Chinese port is more compatible with the rest of the continent.
Yeah, good question. And I don't, yeah, and there's always the possibility that he had a bag of adapters. Yeah,
yeah. On that type of journey, I definitely have a bag of adapters.
Oh, you know it, because they can't use any superchargers outside of the China region because they don't have CCS.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a requirement or a certain requirement for China as opposed to once you leave. And again, I get no idea if Mount Everest, where the last supercharger would be, that he left. Obviously, as you head to the west of China, it drops off dramatically. In fact, I believe China is basically the endpoint of the supercharger network. There's a couple of other ones that are supposedly at some point will be able to connect it to Kazakhstan and Moscow, and then finally Europe. But that road does not exist yet as a supercharger road. But this in the Himalayas, which is where Mount Everest is, I believe. Man, you be charging at people's houses. Like, although I'm surprised that if you have a Model 3 charging on what we would charge on here locally on just a household plug, that would take days. So maybe they're running at 240 in China, and that's why it's more a respectable time for charging.
Maybe.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the world is 240, even in residential.
Yeah, I mean, even here in the States, we only have less than 240 once you get to the actual user outlets. Everything else is 240.
Right, because of course the North American public is too crazy not just to electrocute themselves, so we had to back it down to 110. But
120, come on.
One way to put it.
There's been many times that people have shot themselves, and a 240 probably would not be good. So put down to 120.
I'm looking at the map here, and I'm gonna paste this over in the chat. But it's quite a haul to get from the last supercharger to.
Yeah, absolutely. Everywhere. So it's got to be 240 regularly.
Everybody watching, you next time you hop in your Tesla. Go to the navigation and type in Mount Everest.
Mount Everest.
Stroll over to China.
Yeah, see how long it'll take you to get there, and how many supercharger stops along the way.
Because even though your car can't actually physically plug in, it does show you all of those superchargers.
Oh my goodness. Casey's got our last story of the evening about Giga Berlin. What's going on?
Sure do. Let's go back to Germany. I'm not done. So over at Teslarati, Simon Alvarez found out that Tesla has plans for 8 of what they call Giga presses. And these are, as we talked about in previous shows, the huge house-sized machines that can spit out huge chunks, if not whole cars, frames in one go. Molten aluminum goes in, presses, pressure, all that heat, and then it lets go, and then there's a nice car-shaped piece of metal remaining. So he speculated they're going to make more than one type of car here. I disagree. Elon has told us it's going to be a Model Y factory, at least for a while at first. So I'm thinking either they're going to, if this is not a whole car at one go, like the Matchbox, then I'm thinking that since the rear is one piece, you've got the front, you've got the middle, and the other half of the middle. Maybe they're making 2 cars at a time. Maybe they're making 4 cars at a time. If it's not a whole car. If it's a whole car, they're making 8 cars at a time.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is
phenomenal. Obviously he said the other part of it was that most likely a 3 will be made here at some point in the future as well, since it shares so many parts with the Y, and that speculation seems valid.
That does.
But having 8 of these machines, I don't know. It just seems like Tesla to me. Like when Elon was asked many years ago about the 1 gigafactory and what would be next, his answer, of course, will have 6. So having one of these giant machines in Fremont, and it's like, okay, we're starting Berlin up. It's going to have 8 of them. So it's just the one upmanship of Elon to classic Elon.
Well, you got to fill that paint booth.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a big booth to fill, that's for sure. So you're going to need a lot of cars. That's an interesting story. 8 of those machines, and we know the one in Fremont that got installed. They had to build the building around it, so that's obviously they're ready for it in Berlin as construction continues. But at some point, it's planned to have 8. So spectacular.
Yeah, it makes sense to get them early.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool because the one in Fremont will make the whole rear end of the car at once, including the crash rails. So imagine what they could do with them planning and putting the space in correctly, rather than everybody had speculated when they saw them cut the hole in the side of the building that they were going to build it and roll it in. Instead, that they extended the roof and the walls out. So perhaps they can make them even bigger now that they are in the plan.
Exactly.
And it's to the point that the manufacturer actually called it the Giga Press.
Right. Well, that about wraps up the show. Although I understand that Casey has broken into a new line of work, and he's going to share that with us tonight as Casey's Poetic Corner opens up for the first time on the Tesla Life. Go ahead, Casey.
This might be a sporadic little segment. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to take a deep breath. Honda Accord in the next lane. How are you going to do all of that revving and lose to a 2016 Model S 70? Not even the 70D. It's a 75 rear-wheel drive, according to the trunk lid. And the frunk is the big one with the microwave, so you know it's really rear-wheel drive. And the MCU says it's a 70, so it's actually been back down even further. I'm just chilling in my service loaner with the MCU and the air conditioner trying to fail. Listen to my music. I hear over the music, I hear the horrible sounds of a late model Honda Accord revving its engine. Mind you, this car is both speed limited and power limited before it even got to the service center. Then they put the snail vapors on it. So I can't break traction no matter how sideways I get, and even if the road is wet. So, light turns green. I slam the lightning pedal. Bam! The car just sits there, thinking about it for an eternity. It phones Elon Musk. Elon Musk himself. He pushes OK on his watch. The signal travels back to DC, to my car. Car starts to lurch forward, very slowly, lumbering. The Accord's back wheels at this point have passed the stop bar. He's gone. Tesla remembers it's a GT Tesla. It quickens the pace. It now feels like it's rolling through a thick milkshake. So we get to 30 miles an hour. The car feels at home. It picks up even faster. The Tesla's now going the speed limit, 45 miles an hour. The Accord is somehow 3 cars back. Despite my service-induced slowness. 3 car lengths, and it's still screaming. So at this point, signal, I turn to the on-ramp. And again, I punch the lightning pedal. I lay down Thor's hammer. Elon's watch rings again. He hits ignore and send a voicemail. I resign and switch on AP1 while waiting for the car to reach 65 miles an hour, and I pointed home.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job. We don't know if it'll be a regular segment, but when
Maybe.
Casey laid that down on us today, we had to share that. So
Definitely. It's a true story, too. The only part that's not true is the part about Elon's watch. But it took so long to, like, literally, I slammed down Thor's hammer, waiting for, I call it the lightning pedal, waiting for it to go. And literally, all it did was release the brakes. It did not move an inch. It was long enough that it could have had a signal go, get approved by a human, and come back before the car started to just start a little bit of angular momentum.
They've made a lot of improvements since then.
Well, don't forget that the service loaners are in speed limit mode, chill mode on top of that. So they really don't want to go.
Yeah, exactly. Well, with that, Mr. Connor, any parting words this evening?
Yes, I am with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. And I occasionally blog at carswithcords.net. I'm about to celebrate my 4th year with my Tesla Model X. So I will soon have a 4-year review post up on there.
Fantastic. We'll have to definitely review that as well on the show. Cool. Before we move on to Casey, I want to talk to you, the viewer. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up at this point. Subscribe to the channel. It's free. It helps us out, gets us in front of more eyes. We would really appreciate that. Follow us on our Twitter feed at The Tesla Life, or on Facebook at the Tesla Life #1. And we thank you for watching this week. Casey, what have you got for final parting words?
Well, I'm still working on that epic video I was telling you guys about. It's currently cut down to an hour and a half. I am continuing to cut. So in the meantime, I've got a quick vertical video. You'll find out why in a minute. Showing you how to update the key fob on your Model S, thanks to this service loaner. So if your key fob is running the older vulnerable code, you can update it so that it will be less susceptible to having the signal intercepted and your car stolen. You can pair that with pin to drive function, and it's even better. So YouTube's got a new feature for vertical videos that are less than a minute, and so that's why I filmed it in vertical video. And it's like 35 seconds long. It's like literally, here's your key, here's the setting, go, hold the key, and it's done. So something I was trying out, make sure that the channel didn't sit there with no videos for 2 weeks.
Very good, very good. Well,
and that's at youtube.com/Casey Green. That's KACEYGREEN.
Very good. So visit Casey there with a subscribe as well. And we'd like to thank Mr. Lee Moon for the music that we're about to roll now. And we thank you all for watching, and hope to see you next week to find out what's going on in the Tesla life.
Stay charged. Stay safe.
Good night, everybody.